Hey everyone, I want to talk about something really. Holy shit, this hat does not look this big, like in real life, but on camera it looks huge. Let me get a less ridiculous looking hat. Hold on. Okay, so basically, I want to talk about something really quick, and I think it's really important, especially for people that own dogs, and especially for people that own dogs that have children. Um, Dogs are not like human beings, and when I say this, I mean yes, they're mammals. Yes, they have like a pack, they're social creatures, kind of like us. We're social creatures, right? But they aren't like us, as in they are an animal, and it needs to be recognized that they're an animal because there's a lot of people out there that seem to think like they'll kind of like equate the dog to being a human, and it's not like a human at all. It's really not. I mean, like a 4 month old dog, like a 4 month old, like a dog like my dog, like Koshka. Hold on, let me see if you can, like him. He's a border collie, right? A 4 month old dog like him can like jump over a 6 foot fence and kill a rat, right? And a 4 month old human can't really do that. It's just not really feasible to think that a human could do that, right? And the thing is just that they have like instincts. They run on instincts. You know what I mean? So a lot of this, like this talk about love and this talk about like a dog being able to, you know, like it's like intuitive or some shit, like they just know shit about whatever. It's like, no, not really. That's just like a human projecting their own human intuition onto the dog, right? And it's actually it's almost like belittling to the dog to like treat it as if it's a human, because that's not what's healthy for them. It's healthy for them to be dogs, you know what I mean? And the thing is this causes a lot of like behavioral problems in dogs, and it's actually dangerous to treat dogs like this, especially when you involve them with children, right? Because like a lot of people don't recognize that a dog is a subspecies of the wolf. Like like a wolf. Those are like a predatory animal that, they see like a small creature, right? Like a kid, for example, and the kid doesn't understand because like we operate in a different way. The kid doesn't understand like the dynamic of like how a dog will interact with other creatures, right? And dogs are domesticated, so they see so they're like friendly to us most of the time. Some dogs aren't, obviously, and that's what happens when you get an aggressive dog, like a dog that's aggressive towards humans. But the thing is that, there's a lot of people that I know that have kids and have dogs, and then I try to tell them this, but it's like denial on their part. It's like oxytocin, you know what I mean? Like they have to pet the dog, they have to like think the dog, they have to be like, oh, the dog is so cute, and they have to baby talk it and shit because they have like a paternal or a maternal instinct or whatever. And it's like oxytocin, like they're addicted to oxytocin. It's like it's like Oxytocin Anonymous, you know what I mean? It's just fucking like they are in complete denial about the fact that the dog is an animal and that it could hurt someone, you know what I mean? And the thing is just like, I don't let my dog just go and do whatever, you know what I mean? I run a pretty tight ship with Koshka. He doesn't do anything without my permission, basically. And don't get me wrong, I let him like go out and be a dog in the yard, but it's like under the understanding that, hey, if I say something, you have to listen. And that comes from his respect of me, you know what I mean? And the thing is he is a young dog. So, it's important for me to like instill this in him now. And I try to always have some kind of element of control over him, whether it be a leash. That's not my everyday leash. That's a 10-foot equestrian rope. That's for like if I wanted to tie him to a fence or something. But if I was taking him on a walk, then, I'd use a 6-foot leather that is over there. Actually, no, it's on the floor. It's right there. But I would use something like that. And the thing is the leash is an element of control. And another thing is your voice is an element of control, the tone of your voice. So if your dog is acting up and you say no, and you get see, he actually just perked up and he's paying attention to me because he knows that if I say that, that means stop what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because there's consequences. And they understand tone and shit, right? So you basically need to tell the dog, hey, you need to stop what you're doing, man, because you could get hurt or you could hurt somebody, and they don't have agency for their actions. It's like a young kid. You know what I mean? Like if a young kid was going to go like walk off a bridge, you would stop them, right? And the thing is like a dog, they don't have agency for their actions. They just run on instinct, for example. And it's like if your kid was like say your kid was like 5 years old or something, and they're like jumping all over a guest or something like that, right? They're like hopping up, maybe not hopping up, but they're like climbing all over the guest and they're being annoying. You know what I mean? Your guest is going to be like, can you get your kid off me? Right? And it's kind of the same thing with the dog. If your dog is like flipping out, getting like trying to fucking jump on top of somebody, it's like a dominance thing. You know what I mean? And if you never set boundaries for the dog, you do this with your kids too. So why wouldn't you do it for your dog? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't let a kid like go up and like just like, I mean, like, you end up with like these, I mean, if you do that for like a kid's whole life, then you see this in adults. They just aren't responsible. They can't handle anything. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the situation with your dog too. Your dog won't be able to handle anything and they'll be a fucking spoiled brat. That's like the bottom line. So, you know, it's like, you don't want to coddle your dog the same way you don't want to coddle a kid. You know what I mean? And the thing is like, you fucking, I mean, like, I was coddled as a kid, and I have difficulties as an adult, you know, because of this, you know what I mean? Well, I wasn't coddled completely as a kid, but I was coddled to some degree, you know what I mean? And I will admit it, I was a fucking spoiled brat. I acted like a little shit. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that your dog will do the same thing. If you let your dog, if you give your dog an inch, a lot of the times they'll take a fucking mile. You know what I mean? They won't listen, they won't XYZ. You know what I mean? Etc. Like, they just won't fucking pay attention. They won't do whatever. And it's just, you got to kind of treat it like it's like school for your dog. You know what I mean? And a lot of like these like positive reinforcement only trainers and these Lima trainers, that's least invasive, minimally aversive, like food trainers and shit, that never tell their dog no, right? Those people have like fucked up behavioral problems in their dogs. Their dogs bark incessantly, whine incessantly, have separation anxiety, you know? And the thing is that like, they're too afraid to discipline the dog that they just let their dog do whatever, and it's fucking dangerous. It really is. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, is like, you should honestly never really let your kid interact with your dog in a way where they could get hurt. And the thing is a lot of people just have no idea what the signs are when it comes to a dog and what a dog will do. And it runs purely on instinct. It does not have a moral compass. It does not have emotions like we do. It doesn't feel guilt, nothing, right? There are stories, you can look this up. Seriously, look it up. There are owners that have been killed by their dogs that they've raised since puppyhood. There is a pack drive in the animal, and if the animal is a dominant dog and doesn't understand the boundaries, right, doesn't think that you are the competent, like, leader of the pack, if you will. Again, I'm not really like fucking all for the whole Cesar Millan thing with dog whispering and like, oh, you have to be dominant leader, like whatever. Like, I don't fucking really buy into a lot of what Cesar Millan says, but the thing is the dog does need to fucking respect you. And if there's anything that Cesar Millan is doing that's correct, that's it, right? Is teaching people that the dog needs to respect your limitations and your boundaries. For real, it does. I'm a dog trainer, so I'll train a dog, you know, obedience commands, right? And the reason why you teach these obedience commands is because if you ever need to redirect your dog in a different situation, you know, you basically teach the dog like manners, like to be a good citizen in a human world. And that's something that Lima trainers and food trainers can't fucking do. And even if they could do it, it would take way longer than a obedience trainer, like a balance trainer like myself. I use positivity and negativity. I'm not saying to be only negative to your dog and to say, no, dog, you can't do anything. It's more of redirecting. And then when the dog is being good and doing good, you reward it, right? You say, good boy, you give it a pet. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. But you shouldn't be petting the dog all the time, because then the dog is going to think it's getting shit for free, right? And the thing is you shouldn't give anything to your dog for free. Do you get shit for free as an adult? No. Now, would it be nice for you to get shit for free? Absolutely. But the thing is that if you were getting shit for free, then you would act like a spoiled brat, right? And that's kind of what happens, you know, with adults and kids. If you give them a bunch of shit for free, suddenly they start expecting shit from you. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the same thing with the dog. If a dog comes up to you and gets pet for free every time, then they're just going to keep coming up to you and get pet. And eventually it's going to get fucking annoying, right? And don't get me wrong, there's some people that can just fucking deal with this for the entirety of the dog's life, all 10, 15 years of the dog's life or whatever, right? They can just deal with like a dog always like in their fucking face, like 100% of the time. And if they leave, then their dog flips out and has separation anxiety and can't handle it, right? And the reality is that like, you know, like, you essentially are like, you bred that in the dog by petting it too much. You did, you know. And that's the thing, is that like an obedience trainer like myself, like we don't really allow that. Like we don't allow the dog to just do whatever, and the dog has to work for fucking everything. Koshka has to work for goddamn everything he gets, except for pets from my dad, which I'll admit I'm fucking, you know, I can be soft-hearted about that, but that's another thing, is that like friends and family can really fuck your dog up. And I know that. I know that like with him, if he sees my dad, then he's in a situation where, because my dad gives him pets for free, he basically will opt out of listening to me because he can just go get what he's trying to get, the oxytocin. Instinctually, he's thinking, this person pets me, and all I have to do is go up to them for free. And then the thing is he doesn't respect my dad at all, right? If my dad was eating food or something like that, then Koshka may jump up and try to take the food from him. You want to know why that is? It's because Koshka thinks he's entitled to take the food from my dad, because my dad doesn't give him any kind of aversive reaction to it. He just basically says, oh, you're a good boy, all the time, right? And he never sets a boundary of, hey, dog, get the fuck off of me because I'm eating. Respect me, dog. He never says that, right? Whereas with me, that's pretty much all I do. And, you know, you should see Koshka outside when I take him on a walk. He's very well behaved. And the reason why is because he understands that there is repercussions for him acting like a little shit, right? And people really need to recognize this. And you have to like work with your dog, and your dog should have a job. Every dog should have a job. Even your house dog should have a job. And the easiest job, the most like universally applicable job I can think of for any dog, is retrieving, right? And that's the thing, is a lot of people know this kind of inherently, and they throw a ball and their dog picks it up and brings it back to them. And that is the dog's job. And the reason why dogs like going and grabbing shit that you throw and bringing it back to you is because they like working. Every dog likes to work for something, right? And if the thing is if you throw an object and then your dog goes and picks it up and then just doesn't bring it back to you, basically what the dog thinks is, this is mine. I can just take this, right? And your dog shouldn't own anything, because if the dog does own anything, like if it thinks it owns something, then it's inclined to not listen to you when it's like important for the dog to listen to you. And you need to teach like impulse control with your dog and shit too. When you throw something, your dog shouldn't just go for it without you telling it that it can go for it. Basically, you know, it's just like lazy dog ownership. And I'm not trying to be mean by saying this. I just think that it's important to inform people on this, because really they just don't know. And they grew up with dogs, and then the only information that they ever got about dogs was from people that they know, which generally people have no fucking clue what they're talking about when it comes to dogs. And I'm not saying to like just listen to me because I'm telling you this, but the thing is I have done a shitload of research on dogs, a ton, way more than anybody that I know personally. And the only people that I've seen that really know what they're fucking talking about are like obedience trainers online. You can look them up. There's plenty of them. Peter Kane, Don Sullivan, Sherry Lucas. These people, they all know what they're talking about in terms of dogs. And if you have a dog and you have kids, it should be like your top priority to research this shit and make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into with the dog and not humanize the dog, right? You have to recognize that it's a subspecies of the wolf. Every dog, including a fucking Chihuahua, is a subspecies of the wolf, and it can be dangerous, right? There was a story that I read about a Pomeranian. That's a 4.5, that dog averages out to be like 4.5 pounds, right? It's a small dog. A Pomeranian killed a 6-week-old infant, all right? They don't feel emotions like us. They have instincts. That's it. And you can redirect those instincts through training. That's what I do, essentially. I redirect prey drive. I, encourage the dog to do certain actions using its instincts. So essentially, if I tell the dog to sit, its first instinct, because it's a dominant animal, it's like hardwired into the dog's brain. If I try to get the dog to submit and do something, its first reaction is going to be fuck that and get up. If you tell your dog sit and it sits for a second and then immediately gets up, it's telling you, I don't got to listen to you. You're not going to do anything. I'm more dominant than you. I can just do whatever. And then if you do let it, then you just confirmed what the dog thought in its brain. Well, not thought like on a complex level, but you just confirmed the dog's dominant, like pack-based instincts. You basically said, I'm a bitch and I just let my dog do whatever. That's basically what you just said. You know what I mean? And it's like, or what you just did. And that's the thing, is that like with me, if I were to tell my dog to sit and he gets up, then it's no, sit, and he has to do it, right? And I make him do it. And the reason why is because he could get hurt and someone else could get hurt or someone else's dog could get hurt, etc. You know what I mean? You have to have control over the dog. It's very important. It's like a public safety issue. Honestly, I think that you should need like some kind of a certification or to take a background check or take it like a test to get a dog. But no, you can just go to the pound and buy a dog, right? It doesn't take a lot of effort. It doesn't take a lot of money even. You literally just go to the pound, pay like 50 to $100 and get a fucking dog. And the thing is like, that's like, imagine if you could do that with a gun. Imagine if you could go to the store, pay $50 and buy a gun with no background check. I know that like anti-gun people think that that's how it is, but it's really not. Go try to buy a gun. It's a lot more complicated than you probably know, right? And that it should be like that for dogs, but for some reason it's not. A dog that is untrained is like a loose cannon. It's like playing Russian roulette. Literally, like it's as if you were playing Russian roulette. You fucking loaded up, you know, a 357 with fucking, you know, with one bullet in the 5-round fucking chamber, and you started pulling the trigger. It's like, it's almost the same thing as if you do that with if you don't train your dog. It's like almost the same thing, right? Someone could get hurt. So that's the reason why I'm talking about this. And I don't want to go on about it for a super long time, but I just think it's really important that people know this, right? Just because it is like of utmost importance, especially if you have kids. You know what I mean? Because young children don't understand how dogs operate, and because they're young and because they haven't had like the time to really understand and research this stuff, they will walk up to a dog and make eye contact with the dog, which is like challenging them, by the way. And then they'll smile, like they'll show teeth, and that to a dog is aggression, right? And then they go up and they try to hug the dog, which is what dogs in the wild, when they want to dominate another dog, will put paws on them and try to get on top of them. So when your little kid walks up, makes eye contact, shows teeth, and then hugs the dog, what they're basically telling the dog is, I am being aggressive and dominating you. And then when the dog, which doesn't have agency for its actions and runs on instincts, bites the kid, somehow it's the dog's fault. You see what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous. And people really should be training their dogs. It's like super crucial, right? So that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. I just really wanted to get it out there. I am a dog trainer based in Seattle. I haven't been training dogs for very long, but I have done a ton of research, and I really know what the fuck I'm talking about on this, right? And if you have a dog and you need it trained and you're in the Pacific Northwest area, please give me, and you have kids, please contact me. I will work with you, okay? I understand that board and trains and obedience training is expensive, and the reason why is because the service that is it's like private school for your dog, all right? And the thing is if you were to send your kid to a private school, they would get a great education. That's the point. So when you send your dog to an obedience trainer, they're going to train your dog the correct way, and your dog is going to learn things in the correct way, right? If you do it yourself, or if you send your dog to like a food trainer or a Lima trainer, not only is it going to take longer for your dog to get trained, but your dog is actually not even going to be trained the proper way. And a lot of the times, if your dog is a dominant dog that's high drive and possibly has aggression, they'll say, well, your dog is actually just broken. So you need to pump your dog full of drugs, right? You should probably go to the vet and give your dog Xanax if they have aggression, or if they're high drive, or if you can't get them to calm down. And the reason why is because these Lima trainers can't tell their dog fucking no, right? And they can't train a dog. So when a dog is untrainable using purely positive methods, they say, oh yeah, just give the dog drugs. You want to know what's really funny about that? Our public school system does that same thing to our kids. And I don't have kids, but the thing is when I was a young kid and I had like ADHD and I had a lot of energy because I'm a young kid, they basically told my parents to pump me full of drugs. So luckily my parents didn't do that. But the thing is it's weird how much it correlates. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this dog has too much energy and we can't train him using purely positivity, so I guess just drug him. It's just fucked up. It's really fucked up. And I know that like I'm like fucking kooky fucking Desmond who talks about dogs all day, but that's why I'm getting into dog training. And that's why, you know, I could talk about dogs all day and I could train dogs all day. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, is just, I just wanted to get that out there and have it be known. And hopefully, you know, I've been pretty concise and clear about like what I'm talking about here. and people will understand what I'm talking about, because I'm not trying to demonize your dog by saying they aren't like us or they can't love us. I'm simply trying to state a fact and make sure that people, you know, are safe. Obviously, you know, if your kid gets, if, you know, if your kid makes a mistake or whatever and they go up and they do, and they're playing with your dog, I understand. You're like, oh, it's so cool. They're, you know, they're going up and they're playing with the dog and they're having a good time. And how could I want to, I wouldn't want to rip that away from my kid. And it's like, yeah, but would you let your kid play with a gun, a loaded firearm, without proper, you know, safety precautions? No, you wouldn't do that, would you? That's why with a dog, of course your kid can interact with your dog when they are at a proper age, one, and two, when they have been educated properly on how to interact with the dog without getting hurt, right? So that's the thing. I just wanted to put that out there. Again, I'm Desmond Snow. I'm a dog trainer based in Seattle. I'm in the Pacific Northwest area. If you have a dog and you need it trained, I will work with any breed, any dog, any size, any age. You can teach a dog, an old dog, new tricks. It is possible. All right, I teach all of the basic obedience commands: sit, down, whoa, here, kennel, place, heel. I think I just said heel. But basically, all the obedience commands, I train all of them. I do private lessons. I'll do a consultation. I will work with you in terms of price. If you need, if my prices are too expensive initially, but you have a dog and you have kids and you need your dog trained properly, I'll work with you. I will. I'm flexible, okay? So that's the basic idea that I wanted to get out there. If you have a dog, please, please don't be stupid about this. We have 4 million dogs dying every year, and that's not counting the ones in backyards. And we have about the same amount of people getting bit, half of which are kids. All right? So, you know, the statistics are, they're here on this shit. We know the numbers, all right? And the thing is obedience training works. And you can have your dog trained in obedience to be completely compliant in 30 days. All right? And that's the thing. Just don't be stupid about this, all right? Just get your dog trained. If you don't want to do it yourself, if you don't have the time, contact someone like me to do it for you. My contact information is 360-991-4392, and my email is desmondsnow@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email or call or text me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And we can try to work something out and get your dog trained. I love working with dogs. I absolutely love it. And again, it's not about negativity. It's not about being only negative to your dog. It's just about setting the proper boundaries, all right? And it's about safety. I absolutely pet my dog and tell my dog good boy when he's being good. Make no mistake. But he understands the boundaries, right? You don't hear him barking or whining right now, do you? He's sitting in his kennel and he's chilling out. He's taking a nap because I worked with him a lot today, actually. He's doing retrieves. He's doing good. But anyways, I'm going to go. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Hopefully I have more videos coming out relatively soon. I don't know. I'll come up with something in terms of exactly what, if anybody has any questions about how to train your dog to do a specific thing, like any command or whatever, then you can leave a comment. Or if you have any questions about any of the subject matter that I talked about in this video, then you can, you know, comment that and I'll get back to you on that as well. I've had plenty of long debates online on like Reddit and shit about this stuff, and yeah, it's kind of a shit show out there. A lot of people have no clue what the fuck they're talking about. So yeah, anyways, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Hope you guys have a good day. Stay safe. Train your dogs. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.